Hey guys, how's it going? So, I kind of want to have a real talk moment with you guys. I feel like I kind of have to put a disclaimer out, and since I can't edit, I'm just gonna kind of make this video real quick. I don't know who she's talking to. It's Misty. I don't know what she's doing. Misty? Really? Oh, now we got the other one screaming too. So basically what I wanted to talk to you guys about was basically I want people to understand that we all do things differently, and I guess basically, to put it bluntly, just because you see me handle my teas a certain way doesn't mean that you should try it yourself. It's kind of been brought to my attention, I guess, because I'm not one of the people that normally, and I'm going to try my best to start doing this, but really goes into detail about, like their temperament and things like that. Like I may mention that mine's kind of nasty temperament or whatever, but I never go into detail about what's good, what's not, blah, blah. So I just kind of want to point it out there that, and give you a little bit of an idea of the types of things that I go for, because it probably seems very sporadic for the types of teas that I'm more drawn to. When I first got into this hobby, I was obviously more into things that weren't aggressive and something that was more calm and docile. Whereas now, more so now, I'm more interested in things that are a little bit more aggressive, more defensive, working with the old worlds and things like that now. That being said, I know what I'm comfortable dealing with, and I know my limits. Just because, like I said, just because you see me handle something, or you see me being comfortable enough to handle something, doesn't necessarily mean that you will be the same. I don't want people to take my videos or watch my videos and take the idea that just because it seems easy for one person doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be the same for you. Every specimen does vary. I cannot stress that enough, that they really do. Just because my two baboons seem to be very calm lately, like as of lately, since I've only had them for a week, doesn't mean that when you go and get one that it's going to be the same. It could be all over the place. It could be threatening you. It could be trying to chew out of its enclosure. There's so many different things that could be happening. I don't want people to take it as though, just because they see me having no issues, that it's going to be the same thing, because in reality it's not. Just like a perfect example for me is, I heard that pink zebra beauties were really calm and docile, very easy to work with. Mine's not. You know what I mean? Like, every specimen is different. We can't base them off of each other, even though they're they're the same breed. It doesn't necessarily mean, you know what I mean? Just like, it's the same with any animal. Just, I guess with teas it gets thrown around a little bit more, but I mean, there are some cats that are very snuggly and cuddly. There are others who don't like it at all. You know what I mean? Like, every animal is different, just like every person is different. I know tons of people who love being tickled. I hate being tickled. I don't like it at all. I hate the feeling of it. Just trying to give like random examples here, because I don't want to see or hear of somebody getting hurt and, like my videos or me being like kind of a reasoning for it. Like, you really need to do research on your own. You really need to figure out what you can and can't deal with. I've only been in this for 2 years. It's not a huge amount of time, but it's long enough time that I do feel comfortable working with the animals that I do. I am very careful. I'm very particular. Like, I won't just go and get anything. If you guys go back in my videos, you'll see months ago is when I started talking about getting the baboons. It's been a couple of months before I actually got them. I did spend that time researching them, looking into it, watching videos, doing all the things you need to do, talking to different people. Like, you won't know until you learn. And of course, when you get it, it's going to be the real test of, like what it's really like. But really, I just can't stress enough to do your research. And don't be one of those people that, you're not going to be cool if you're handling like an OBT. You're not going to be, there's a hair on the lens. You're not going to be cool. You know what I mean? Like, we don't need to be touching things that we shouldn't be touching. Like when you see something that's up in a thread, or that it's normally pretty defensive, my best advice to you is to just leave it alone. Like, these are wild animals, and I went through this in the past, but I mean, I'm just so sick and tired of people, not using their brains and just doing things just for the sake of doing it to make themselves feel cool and be like, I held an OBT, or I held a pokey, or I held, and some people do it and they don't have an issue. Some people have had, their Pionatas like chilling on their arm and they've never had an issue. I'm not saying that you're going to get bit if you handle one, but the chances of you getting bit or the chances of that tea going all over the place are really high. But just because you see somebody do it doesn't mean that you should do it yourself. I've heard of quite a few people, grabbing their pokies and handling them. I've never touched my pokies, ever. And I don't have any intentions on it. We have to be careful with what we work with here, because I really enjoy this hobby, and what makes me really sad is because people, don't take it seriously, it just makes us all look really bad when something happens. Like, I'm hearing of kids, 13-year-olds, bragging about handling their, cobalt blues and things like that. That's not good, because if he ever gets bitten, I really hope he doesn't. I really, really do hope he does not get hurt. But if he ends up having to go to the hospital, I can guarantee you the media will be all over that so fast. So fast. And you know what? Then the animals look bad, because now one of them's hurt a kid. So they're going to be all over that and just making it seem so negative. But I mean, we have to think about this hobby in a whole. We can't just think about ourselves, because, especially telling people that you're doing that and things like that, it reflects bad on everybody. And for those like me who take this seriously and, who love being in it and, don't want issues, it reflects on all of us. And I'm sorry, it's really not fair to me that I'm doing everything in my power to keep myself safe and to make sure my animals are secure and blah, 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 blah. And somebody else can go and do something, and then I could lose out because of that. I could, have my animals taken away because of that, when I'm not doing anything wrong. That's why I'm making this video, because I don't want that. I want people to understand that, we have to take this seriously, and that, your actions reflect on everybody. So really think about what you're doing and make sure that you're safe. Make sure that you've done your research for what you're getting. Make sure that you know what you're dealing with and you know that you can handle it. Don't, if you're a beginner in this hobby, don't go for something really aggressive. Go for something calm. Go for a brachypelma. Go for an avicularia, grammostola, pulchra. Nobody says that you have to stay with calm species forever, there's definitely a variety out there, but really make sure you can handle what you're working with, and know that when you get into the more aggressive species that you don't need to handle them. You don't need to, you know what I mean? Everybody's all like, handle. You don't need to handle your teas to show them love. You don't need to handle your teas to bond with them. You don't need to handle your teas to have a fulfilling, loving relationship with them. You don't need to do that. These people that put handling as a top priority, it doesn't need to be done. Yes, it is nice. Yes, it's enjoyable. That I will admit, I've handled my curly hair quite a few times. I've handled my grammostola pulchra quite a few times. It is very nice. It's not a must. You don't need to handle everything you have. There's tons of teas that I've never touched. My pink zebra beauty, I've never held her. I've had her for over 2 years. I've never held her. Not once. I have never held her. Never held my green bottle blue. Never held my pokies, clearly. The Lacidora Peribiana, the list goes on and on and on. I've never handled them, you know what I mean? And I'm perfectly fine with that. And maybe you look for stuff that's different. Maybe you just want handleable species. That's great. All the power to you. But you don't need to handle OBTs and things like that. They are aggressive. They're defensive. You know what I mean? And it's probably really stressful for them. If they're rearing up into a threat or they're running away from you, it's probably a stressful situation. We shouldn't be stressing them out. If you want to keep them, I would say you would want to make sure their stress levels are as low as they can possibly be. And that's why I don't bother my teas very much. I leave them alone because I don't want, them to be highly stressed out. I want them to be relaxed and calm. And I mean, as you can see when you watch all my feeding videos and stuff, I never have any issues. Everything normally works out fairly well for me. The only time I've had escapees is when I'm doing rehousing. And I mean, it's been very easily dealt with. But I never have problems. I rarely ever see any of my guys in threats. I've never been hissed at. I've never anything, because I don't encourage it. I don't pester them. I don't do anything to really get that. So anytime I am working with them, I'm giving them water or I'm feeding them. That's the interaction we have. Yes, I check on them a couple times a day. But again, too, that's me looking at everybody. I might move some enclosures to make sure I can get a good view. Everybody's fine. Okay, we're good to go. No, food scraps, no mold, blah, blah, blah. You do those checks. That's the end of it. They're not being pestered. In my opinion, if you're going to be in this hobby, that's how you should be. You shouldn't be thinking about just yourself. Think about the animals too. I understand handling's nice, and yeah, the idea of handling an OBT if it wasn't going after you would be pretty nice. And no, obviously they're not going to chase after you, but you know what I mean. Yeah, it would be nice. It would be really cool. They're beautiful spiders. They really are. But that doesn't mean you need to hold them. Just like with your pokies. You can enjoy the pokies without touching them. I enjoy my pokies so much. And I bond with my teas. I would say I have a bond with every single one of them. And as I've said, I've only handled 2. So I feel bonded. I feel just as bonded to my Graham Slowpoke as I do to Emery, my P. regalis, or the P. rufilata, or Zeeb, the other P. regalis, or even the 2 new baboons. You know, feeding them is a special thing. That's a good way to bond. You know, making sure that they're safe. That's another way to bond. And even just when you drop the food in and just watching them eat. That's another way to bond. You're giving that animal life. That's a bonding moment. You know, think about it that way. Not just, I need to touch it to bond with it. You know, it doesn't always work that way. So I'm going to end this video here. Sorry if you guys didn't enjoy, but, oh, I'm getting yelled at. My phone. Yeah, my battery's about to die, so I have to let you guys go. Hope you guys enjoyed. We'll see you later.